episode 2. My name is Karen. I live in the northwest of England with my husband and 5 Jack Russells. Yes, 5 Jack Russells. I am a knitter, a crocheter, a quilter and like to sew as well. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and also on YouTube under Stitches and Jacks. Links will be on the description box listed below and also at the bottom of the screen. I'd like just to say, well, thank you. Thank you so much for everybody that has watched me on YouTube, and thank you for all the lovely comments. I'd like to give a big shout out to Lindsay at Stitch Create Love, and just to say thank you for being so supportive and encouraging, and also Jeanette at Crafty Clegs Creations. The pair of them have been absolutely marvellous, really encouraged me and supported me. It's just been so nice just to be welcomed by you all. I know I'm the new girl on the block. I don't know where my journey is going to go, but so far I'm really enjoying myself and the feedback has been amazing. I'd also like to just offer a bit of an apology. First episode, obviously I was nervous, but looking back, I was reading the news or an extra on the 2 Ronnies when they sat at the table. I just thought if I sat at my kitchen table I could have everything out or within easy reach, and that would just make it so much easier for me. I was also conscious that my podcast wouldn't be too long. I don't want to bore the pants off of everybody, so I'm going to introduce timestamps. So if you go to the description box, it will tell you when the knitting section is going to be, when the crochet and when the quilting section is going to be. And this episode we have some quilting. I have a finished quilt. So that's it for the introduction. Thank you. Right, on to, let's start with finished objects. Last episode I'd shown you the shawl that I was in well no, I hadn't started, I was 3/4 of the way through it, and explained like the problems that I had encountered myself. I'm pleased to say that it is now a finished object. I'm so proud of it and so pleased that I've managed to finish it, and it is, if I say so myself, absolutely beautiful. I'm so pleased that I'm going to be able to, this is from my grandson, my youngest grandson, who hopefully is going to be christened in the autumn. As of yet, we are still experiencing COVID, for just in case anybody is watching this podcast in the future. It's 2020. It's August the 26th, I think. Still losing track of days, track of time. And at present, I think weddings, you can have about 30 people. Their funerals, they've relaxed numbers slightly, but I'm not 100% sure of the details. And christenings are just a no-no at the moment, so my daughter's just waiting. So I have knitted this in 3 ply. Normally I use double knitting or 4 ply fingering, double knitting worsted, or 4 ply fingering. So to go down to 3 ply was quite a challenge, and also like you knitted this in like 4 triangles, so it was sort of, I think, 295 stitches. So that was quite daunting for me. I think also my approach to it was sort of what hampered me most of all, in that I was trying to knit it far too quickly rather than just enjoy the process. Though, however, and I had 3 parts of that. I'd knitted the triangles, but I had made a mistake somewhere along the line, so they didn't actually meet up. So I'd had to take it back. I started it last year and then sort of put it away. It was sort of in the naughty corner for a long time, but it came out this July. because I thought he's going to be walking and it won't even be won't be finished. So I started on I think I started on the leaf trim as well, to show you this. To actually, for me, to knit 4 of those would take me an hour. There were certain things I didn't understand about lace knitting. I think I can obviously do the stitches, but I didn't realise that you were supposed to use stitch markers. I'll show you the pattern up there. I've blocked it. Yeah, I didn't understand that you're supposed to use stitch markers. That would have helped me in the beginning, and also to use a lifeline, which I knitted a shawl earlier this year, and for myself, and that's when I sort of was picking up all these tips, and I thought, if only I'd known then what I know now. But I've also tried to, I have blocked it. I didn't understand about blocking, so I think I'm fairly confident about that. The pattern is a Sirdar Snuggly, and it's one that you can knit in 3-ply, 4-ply or double knitting. I think it's quite an old pattern. But when I took the 4th triangle back, because it wasn't lining up, I'm not 100% sure if there wasn't a mistake, and that is why I'd got so far, and it was the last sort of 3 rows where the problem occurred. But it could have been me. So I am chuffed to bits to say that this is finished, it is ready, and he will be allowed to have this now. And I'm hoping that he is going to be able to be christened, that we're going to be able to have that celebration as a family. But if not, my advice to her would be just to use this, just to snuggle him in it, and his grandma did actually finish something. So I am really pleased with that. Works in progress knitting. I am currently knitting the Veronika. I think it's it's a textured shawl colour cocoon cardigan, and it's by Shannon. So that is a picture there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It looks really comfortable and cosy. I would say it's very much a beginner, sort of advanced beginner pattern. It's knitted in an Aran, and I saw the actual garment on Bird Street UK's podcast. Claire was wearing it, and her sister had started knitting one. Claire had got it in a really lovely red, which is one of my favourite colours. And the yarn that she was using was Aldi, so Crafty. It's this one here, which is an Aran yarn, and I just so happened to have some of this in my stash. So I decided, right, I will give this a go, make something for myself, but not use a yarn that's too expensive that I might feel that a bit intimidated by, if I incurred any problems. So you kind of knit it in a T shape. So this is how I've got on the. So you've got the collar here. This is the back. This is what I'm currently working on, and then you've got the side here, and it comes down, and you've got the big armhole there to put your arm through. So there's no button band, there's no shaping. You have to shape I think there's a bit of shaping on the collar, but other than that, it's fairly simple knit. So I'm really enjoying that. That's growing quite quickly. So I think that's going to be a nice garment to have for to go out for a walk with the dogs in the autumn. And I'm hoping that it will give me some confidence to have a go and make something for myself. My problem is I doubt myself, and also when him upstairs was sort of giving out various attributes, shall I say, I was sort of in front of Beyonce and Katie Price, so very well endowed in this area, so I'm always conscious of what I wear and, you know, having a good fit. So I'm enjoying that. It's nice to work with a thicker yarn and see how quickly that grows. The other thing that I cast on as I finished my 3 big projects is living in here. And this is, I did show you this last time, and this is the Good Vibes Shawl by Nadia, by Nadia. And I've been watching a podcast, and the lady showed it, and she'd knitted it in exactly the same colours. I couldn't get the exact wool, but what I have got is I've got Kettle yarn, and it's the Islington, and that is a 4-ply, a fingering. So this is like the main colour, and it's turmeric, and it's absolutely beautiful. So this is how far I've got. A bit upside down. So I think I've had to learn to, I think is this called a tab at the bottom, where you cast on so many stitches, turn it 90 degrees, and turn it 90 degrees again. So that has been an absolute joy to work on. The yarn is absolutely beautiful. It is so soft and so squishy, and the stitch definition, even though that is only garter stitch with the eyelets in, is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'm thoroughly enjoying working with that. The second yarn that I'm using, so I've caked these up. My cakes are better as well. I think I have a bit more confidence with my Swift, and this is from Pixie yarns, and that is called 3 Friends. So I'm really enjoying working on this. I can't wait till I can use that. I've got one more section I think to do in the Islington, and then I can move on and use the cream and start stripes. So that will be an absolute pleasure, and just so much easier than that shawl. I think my confidence has grown after making that. Now I feel like I can take on anything. The other thing that I have cast on, so we're having a bit of a cast on party. It's not very much to show you today, but this is living in my lovely bag from Lindsay at Stitch Create Love. This was her first collection, her first fairy collection. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and I just love all like the little details in it. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So Lindsay is knitting these as well. I think there's going to be quite a few people. Deborah Ford started to knit along for some socks. They're called the Daisy socks, and these are in a 4-ply fingering. So I think the pattern is free on Ravelry. It's absolutely beautiful. You'll have to forgive the mark on my printer. We don't quite know what that is. We don't know whether we think it's a roller that is going. I've had the printer for quite a few years. So this is the yarn that I'm using, and this is Mr. B's yarn. This is also, I showed you this on the first episode, and this is the Iguana. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I understand why people have fallen in love with all these indie dyed yarns, because they are just so beautiful. I do, unfortunately, well, I've finished the rib on this. I've completed the rib on the sock, and I'm just starting. I think I've done 2 rows of the pattern, which you won't be able to see. But you can see that I've started. So hopefully next time you'll see more progress. I like to knit my socks on DPNs, and that's the cake. As you can see, colours. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to work on those. I've also got my stitch markers from Lindsay. These are really lovely, so pretty, just so different to other stitch markers that I've seen, so I'm going to use those with my socks. So that's my knit along, so that'll be quite fun to be involved in something like that. And there's a couple of us, I think, is it Angela from Knitting on the Farm, I think she's doing those as well, which would be really nice. What's the other thing that I've got? This, yes, I think I mentioned that I've been on a bit of a production roll with my knitting. I have 3 grandsons, and my eldest daughter, who has her first child, my youngest grandson, I've had a few like orders, so I think I'm on my last order from him. So this is living in another project bag that I treated myself to, and this is from Jeanette at Crafty Creations. I sort of binge watched a lot of her episodes, and one of the episodes she mentioned that she used to work in a little craft shop, and unfortunately due to COVID, as a result she ended up losing her job, which was a real like shame. So she was relying on her shop now. So I treated myself to a bag and gave Jeanette some love, and it's beautiful. I really like it. This isn't a very exciting project, but it's kind of, I think sometimes when you do craft and make things, sometimes you just do some standard stuff. And I'm more than happy to make this. I think my next cardigan, I'm going to do cable. I absolutely love doing cable work, so I want to do this. This is a King Cole pattern. I think I mentioned this last time. I think they're very generous. That's what I picked out. I'd come home and it had been in my file for a while, and then when I turned it over I realised there were like 2 more patterns, a waistcoat and a blanket, and I've seen this blanket made up, and it's beautiful. It really is. So kind of we were looking at that. We wanted like a rolled collar. I wanted a jacket, and then when I've got home and really looked at I've got it out of my file and looked at the pattern closely. It's got a picot edge, which I can do no problem, but I don't think Benjamin would really like that. So I've just done a standard 2x2 rib, which is what I tend to do. I just like the look of it. I think it's a little bit more rigidity. Also the arms are garter stitch, which I think as a whole this works well, but for Benjamin I've just decided it's going to be stocking stitch. And then I've just completely redesigned this, and then there is a lace pattern going through, which you can't, I don't think you can see that well. Maybe on the back of the pattern you can see perhaps in the emerald green. So again, I think that might be perhaps too much of a feminine twist. So I've just decided that we're having plain stocking stitch, and I'm going to perhaps do a cable, just going up to give it a little bit of interest. So this is literally just on the sleeve. I thought the sleeve was a bit short, that the pattern, I think, stated 8 inches for a 20-inch chest. So I've measured him, and I think he's 9. He was wriggling a bit, so I'm sort of I've gone for 9.5. So just let you know, to show you that I have worked on this, and this is in Stylecraft Emerald Green. And the reason we chose this was, my daughter chose this, was because of the colour. She wanted an emerald green, so I've done the 2x2 rib. So I've done the back, I've done another sleeve. I always tend to, when I'm working on like a baby cardigan, I always tend to do the back first, because I'm always like excited to start something new, and then start on the sleeves, because then I can sew half the sleeve on, and then I do the 2 fronts, and then I'm sort of home and dry really. I don't know about you. I don't know how you would approach doing a cardigan or a jacket. That would be interesting to find out if I'm normal or not. So yeah, let me know. That would be interesting to find out how people approach things. So that would be good. So they're my works in progress for my knitting. Crochet. Let's talk about crochet and finished objects. So I have finished my crochet blanket and I am so happy with it, so happy with it. So I worked out a border, just not quite a shell, I think it's six trebles in the border. Down and do a double treble, no, beg your pardon, a double crochet, single crochet for our overseas friends, or if you're using American terminology. So I'm just thrilled to bits of it, I really am. It's something that it really did sort of start a journey. It was just supposed to be just a plain granny stripe, and then I was just trying to sort of use up all my yarn. I just didn't want to have lots of yarn left. It's all in Stylecraft colours. I'll just show you the border. And the border is in a twinkle, which is really lovely. Got a bit of sparkle in it. It's just something that I had in my stash, so I've used that as well. So that's another that's another ball that has been used up. So, and it's quite a fair size actually. It's bigger than what I expected, what I planned. It's wider than what I expected. So I am really, really happy with it. Really happy with it. So I think it would just like live on my office chair or in my car, and it's not going to be like a precious blanket. It's something. It is acrylic. It's Stylecraft. I sort of looked at the Attic 24 for the granny stripes, and I literally had next to nothing left over, which has made me really happy. Which is the whole process of this. So I think I've got those couple of granny squares that I've made and those bits in there. It's Twinkle and it's being by James C. Brett. So that was something that I had in. So I'm more than happy to have had that left over. And I think that was my crochet granny square for National Granny Square Day. So I don't know about you, but I'm very good at talking myself out of things. I'll get a book, I'll look through and I think, oh, that's beautiful, and I can't do it. This lady, Leonie Morgan, she's got quite a few books out. I think I've got about 3 or 4. Bought them from The Works, and it's absolutely fascinating what kind of projects that she has in her books. Absolutely stunning. And I just look at that and think, oh, that's lovely. That's really lovely. I can't do that. I can't do that. And I just need to be a bit more confident and just give it a go. You know what, if I can't do it, I can't do it. I can, go onto YouTube. I'd have loved to have had YouTube when I was younger. All I had was a craft book, 100 makes for girls and 100 makes for boys. That's what my brother had. So these are just stunning. And she's also got borders in the back. I had a look, tried to do one of the borders, and I don't think I really understood what she was saying. So I think I just fudged it. And then I was like, okay, I think it was that one, which is called a curvy border, but I just did it all in one colour. And I'm really pleased with it, really pleased with it. So pleased with it, in fact, that it's made me pick up another blanket that I had started. And I started this September 2019. And one of my targets for last year was to try and join in a make-along of some sort of knitting or crocheting. So I'm a big fan of Cherry Heart. I think I sort of waffled on about her quite a bit in my last episode. So I signed up for the Nature's Walk blanket, which I think has proved really, really successful. There's been some beautiful, beautiful makes. And this really pushed me, but I think also made me appreciate how much I had come on. I've only been crocheting, I think, 2008 2018, 2019. So coming up the end of this year, will be nearly 3 years ago, and I did have quite a long time before I could actually do any crochet. There was a local shop lady, she sort of held my hand and just helped me through it. So you had to, if you bought the kit, I think you had 12 squares that you were given and that you could work on, but you could also just buy, so if you bought the kit you had that, but if you just wanted to buy the pattern for the squares, I think you got about six or 9. So this is how far I've got. So I've made all the different squares, all the different stitches. The bobbles, that was new. The wheat was new. There's quite a few that was new. It did take me quite a long time, like over an hour on some of them to do them. I thought, oh, that's a lot of time to be able to do one of these. But then being part of the group, other people were discussing how long it was taking them, and some of them were taking as long as I was, or even longer. So I thought, oh, well, you know, I'm okay, because I'm not bothered whether I'm first, I'm not bothered whether I'm top of the queue, I'm not bothered where I am, as long as I understand what I'm doing and the result is to the best of my ability. And I know there's going to be some people that will always finish first, it really doesn't bother me, but I absolutely love these, and I think the sun rays, this one here in the wheat and the wheat one, I think they are my favourite, my absolute favourite. I hummed hard. There was different packs you could buy. There was a Stylecraft one. There was something else which I think the Stylecraft was sort of like the most cost-effective purchase. There was one in the middle, and then I think there was this one, which is the Shapiers, which I think I was working on this so much that I learned how to say it. So I've got my basket down here, and so I've got the pattern here. So it was Shapiers, and it was a stone washed yarn, which is 78% cotton and 22% acrylic, and it's absolutely fabulous to use. There was such demand for this blanket that they had sold out, because I was hesitating to spend like so much money to get this. They'd run out of the pack, so I was able to get so much. I'm trying really hard to be careful where I spend my money and how I spend my money. So I try and support like local businesses, female businesses, independent businesses. You know, I spend enough on, you know, sort of big companies. So where I can, I will always support my nearest wool shop is in I think it's Warrington. I think that's the address. So it's a good. I think it's about 12 miles away, and they're lovely. They really are lovely. So I placed my order as much as I could from them, and then I was able to source from some other yarn shops, independent shops, the other colours I needed. So I've got a bit of I've got a few balls that. When I've got everything together, I didn't quite like the substitutes. There's nothing wrong with them, but I just really like the colours that had been chosen in the original pack. I've also got these, which I've started. I've got all of those, so I might. Well, I'm definitely going to use them, and maybe make a smaller blanket. I've got a bit more wool. So I did this, and I was really chuffed with myself. I managed to sew it all together and everything, and I'd got it finished, and then I stopped because I had read online. Cherry Heart was really good. I actually learnt how to, through being part of that crochet along, to read a chart, which I hadn't been able to follow before. But her pattern was amazing, really well put together, really easy to read, really easy to follow. As I would say, maybe I'm an intermediate, a beginner intermediate. And I'd heard a lot, read some people saying, oh, it was really difficult to deal with the border and everything, and some people had fudged it, and some people had done another border. And that's a lesson I've learned, is perhaps not to take too much notice of anything that might be negative. Don't be drawn into it. I'm not saying that everybody was that, not at all. There were lots of people that did the border and they were absolutely fine and they were stunning. But I was like, oh, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. So it went on the chair in my bedroom, and that's where it's stayed. So when I was doing my granny square blanket, I thought, right, I'm going to put a border on there and I'm going to try and do some kind of pattern, and then hopefully I'll learn by the counting and doing a pattern. So now that I've completed that, I can do a border. I wish, but no. So I'm going to have a go at that. And I understand that as long as I get my foundation right, the rest should follow. So I'll need to sit quietly, have my stitch markers, and work my way through it. But I certainly feel so much more confident. I'm not saying that I can do all the stitches just like that. I might have to go and look something up, but that's fine. And that doesn't faze me either. When I make Yorkshire puddings, I still have to look in Mrs. Beaton's book to work out what flurries. I can never remember. So yeah, I could apply that philosophy to my blanket. So that's what I'll be working on next. I'll be sitting and doing that. I need to give myself a bit more praise really, and say that well done. So my other thing that I worked on, and again I have had a request from a certain young man that he would like something, and what he's asked for is a monster. And I was like, oh, they're lovely. And we had such fun, like looking through this book and giggling and deciding like what he would like. This is my eldest grandson. The book is just hilarious. I don't know whether when you were like a child, you ever played that game where you would like, one of you would draw the head, then you'd fold it over, pass it to the next person, they would draw like the body, then you'd fold the piece of paper over again, and it would sort of perhaps go around the table and you'd be adding like different parts on, and then you'd open it up and see what you would have. So it works on this kind of thing. So you'd have a head, so there's a pile of heads. I'm not going to show you too much, but yeah, so you kind of get the idea. So you can choose a head, you choose the arms, the body is the same, and then you can choose like different feet, and then there's different extras that you can put on. And it is absolutely stunning, this book. Also, you can make the monsters in different sizes, just depending on the yarn. So you can use appropriate hook for the yarn, and you can start. So the same pattern, but just different sizes on depending what you're using. So this is 4-ply fingering, double knitting, worsted. This is let's have a look. This is Aran, and this is like chunky. So I really wanted to have a go at this. I probably had this book for must be a year, just over, or just under a year. And I'd seen these at the show, and they were just lovely. And I was just like, tried to bribe somebody to let me buy one. At the end of the day, but they were like, no, we need to for our display. We need to for our display. And I'm thinking, so I've had the book. I thought, I can't do it. So I thought, right, well, what do? Do I practice first of all? So I thought, okay, so I will practice and have a trial run. And there is a monster on here that I think looks just like my youngest daughter. Oh, she's a hairdresser, by the way, and that's why the monster would look like her. Let me see if I can find her. See if I can find it. When you just love to make this one if you knew somebody had got chicken pox. That would just be so funny. Or perhaps we should do it now with COVID. So that is Bella. She is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I thought, okay, I'll have a go. I'll make this for daughter. You coming? Come on. She's not going to come. Why? She's shy. Come on, everybody's really, really nice. Yeah, they're nice people. They said nice things about me, so they're going to say nice things about you. She said she's a monster. She's having a bad hair day. Come on, come on. There she is. I think she's absolutely lovely. And I have crocheted Bella, darling Bella, in Stylecraft DK in, I think it's Old Rose. And I had, essentially I can't stand like having lots of waste and things. I've made my mum a hat and a pair of mittens. I used I made mittens this year. I had some left, so I made her some horns. But I made a glitter horns, and I just think she's absolutely fab. So there's her hair. She might need a bit of a trim on her hair, but I thought my daughter, my youngest daughter, who's the hairdresser, was a monster. I think she'd just be like, just like Bella, and she absolutely loves this colour. This is her favourite colour. She doesn't know I've made her. And when I said to her older sister, I saw I made a monster for your sister. I said, because it looks just like her. And she's like, Mum, don't be horrible. She's not a monster. She's really nice. And when I showed her, she was like, oh yeah, she'll really, really like that. So Elizabeth's got that to come. So I'm actually going to the hairdressers on Saturday, so yeah, you have to excuse my hair. I had absolutely glorious hair in lockdown because Elizabeth was living with me, so she was able to do my hair, but since she's gone, that's it, it's like, oh, gone to pot. So I tried to pull it up today just to get it out of the way, but it was everywhere, so I've just left it down. And my dream make, well, two dream makes before I show you this. My dream make is to make the monster for Alfie, but I think he's going to probably get that for his birthday. Or I'm just worried if I give Elizabeth that and then I give Alfie his monster, Fred will kick off because he'll want one. So whether I save that till Christmas, and then it means I'll have to do three, one for each of the boys. One of the things that I have been watching this year, and I've watched them from the start right the way to the finish, is Cretin-Lechene. And I've really taken a lot on board of what they've said, of what Andrea has said about, you know, choose a project, thinking about what you're going to learn from that project, like trying to increase your skill set, you know, all the time, just like even if it's just one little thing. So I've done my crochet monster, and on this Cretin-Lechene they have guests on, they do interviews and everything, which Andrea's really, really good at interviewing. I think she asks like all kind of questions that you would like to know, and more, so you come up with that. So she interviewed Kerry Lloyd from Toft, and she was explaining her journey, that she didn't know how to crochet, something she'd wanted to do, and while she was on maternity leave she just sort of picked up a crochet hook and a ball of wool and just started, and this you know, monster appeared, and just explain about how the business has grown. And I really like her philosophy that her family, her parents own an alpaca farm in Wales, South Wales, and I would love to go. I would love to go and see. So they do these kits, so I thought, right, I've had my trial run, I've got my yarn for my next monster, my chunky, so I'm going to have a go at one of these kits and I'm going to make something else. And it arrived, and it's absolutely beautiful. You know, you've got a lovely sturdy pot, so you can more for trying to recycle stuff and reuse. But with COVID, my daughter came, so it was her birthday at the weekend, no Monday, and she came yesterday, got a present, and I wrapped them like old tissue paper, and yeah, so she had that. So I'll be using these. So this is what I'm going to be doing. So this is Emma the bunny, and she just looks adorable. So I want to have a go at this. A lovely bag, so I bought the bag. And I've got the, oh no, that's a pin. But this is the yarn that they use. This is the DK, the stone, and it's 100% wool, and it's a UK wool. So that makes me even happier. That not only have I supported like a small company, an English company, or Welsh I suppose they are really, but that it's also UK yarn, and that just looks absolutely divine. So we'll see how I get on with this. But yes, I'm looking forward to that. So and this is supposed to be for Benjamin's birthday, which is next month. So I've got to get cracking with that. Let's move on to quilting, and I have finished a quilt. I am so happy, so happy. This is what's called a Lone Star quilt. I'll have to stand up and show you. So this is sort of a lap size. You can see it. So this is for my daughter, Elizabeth. I belong to a quilting group. I probably maybe 3 years this autumn. Obviously we've not been meeting because of COVID and the restrictions. The ladies that belong to the group, I'm sure they won't mind me saying, are have to be really careful, and I should imagine many of them have been shielding. But they're absolutely lovely, these ladies, and we have a ball. If anybody is listening outside the door, I think they're listening to themselves, oh my word, what is going on in the room? Because all we do is laugh and share, I just enjoy like being together. And we have a project, we're given a project at the beginning of term, so we would all be doing the Lone Star, and there's probably about 20 odd ladies in the room, and everybody is doing something totally different, you know, with the pattern of choice, fabric, that it's all like quilter's cotton, but you wouldn't believe that out of 20 people that nobody has sort of doubled up in some way, but they haven't, and they're just stunning, absolutely stunning. So we were using some Lone Star, and it's called a Radiant Star quilt by Eleanor Burns. I think she does have a channel on YouTube. You can go along and have a look, and some of this is quite an old book, so some of the colour variations might be not to everybody's taste. If you can see through that, the first edition was May 1990, and this is January 2011. So this is 9 years ago. So she's kind of got, yeah, colours like that. Sort of very, I suppose, pastel-y colours. I think they were really in the 90s. But she's got really good pictures. She's got really good, you know, details in there. I'll hold the book up and show you. I really like, just talks you through it, like step by step. So for those of you that don't know, you normally have three layers. Yeah, it's like a they call it quilting sandwich. So you have your backing fabric, which would be this. Then you have your wadding or your batting that goes in the middle, and then you have your top. So the top is normally kind of buy the fabric, cut it up, make a pattern, sew it back together, and then the quilting is where you sew the three pieces together. So there's quite a lot in this that we've had to make it, and we've had to like have it in strips, and then so have the 3 different strips and cut them at an angle, and then you sew them back together. mine, I'm proud to say. I haven't got a bump in the middle. It is flat, and then you put these pieces in, so these corners and these triangles. Add those, and then you add your border. So I've managed to do that. I've also starting to. I think fine with like straight quilting. So we're using the Westerly rulers. I was using that to do, so it's kind of like free motion, but you're also doing it within a stencil, so it's manipulation of this stencil underneath your needle. It isn't perfect, but I've had a go, and it would take me ages. I said, oh, I don't want to do it, I don't want to ruin it, but you just kind of got to do it. And this is what the ladies are like. When you're there, they help you by showing you how to do something, by encouraging you with praise and support, showing you, if they know how to do a technique, they're quite happy to show you. So I have had a go. I have got some wiggly lines, but you know what? That shows that I really love my daughter. a mother's love. And then here I've gone along or gone across and down, so that was quite time consuming. Would I make one of these quilts again? Yes, I would. I think I would quilt it a lot simpler. I don't think I'd make my lines so narrow. I think I would make them wider. I think that I've got a couple of rucks in the back of the quilt, but that's sort of part of it. I've put this on my border. That went on well, and then I was just practicing. I was just trying with, let's have a look. Yeah, with my decorative stitches, just on my sewing machine. So I had a go at that as well, and I'm quite pleased with the result of that in there. I always remember when I went to buy my first sewing machine, the lady said to me, she said, I got like a basic one first of all, and then I realised not long after that I wanted something a little bit more advanced. So my advice would be, if you're going to buy a sewing machine, always buy something where you've got a bit of room to grow into. Don't buy something that's so far that you're going to be so too frightened to use it. But the lady in the shop said to me, she said, with your decorative stitches, she said, just get a piece of material, she said, and she said, just run those through the machine, and then she said, put the number. She said, because you might use one decorative stitch, and then she said you might not use that for 6 months, a year. She said, by that time you'll have forgotten. So whereas if you've got this piece of material you draw, you can just take it out and have a look, and you can see how it lays on the fabric, which I thought was a really good idea. I was limited to the size that I could do, because this is the fabric I had. I bought a lot of fabric, as I think many people do when they start crafting. You buy anything and everything, because you're like a kid in a sweet shop. So I was trying to be on a fabric diet. I had all this sitting there, so I had more than enough. The only thing I didn't have was this. I had these colours, which I'd always planned to use. So I went and found that, but unfortunately I didn't have enough for the back. So what I did in true Little House on the Prairie style, I patched it, which that is one of my sort of trademarks really, so that I don't waste anything. I've got my label that's got to go on there. It's on, so I've done that. I've also used, and I do this as well quite often, as I'm trying to use everything up, I cut my binding, cut it about 5 inches, about 5 inches, 2.5 inches wide by about 5 inches, and then just unfold that over, and that's all the way along. So you might not be able to see it too well on this bit. You can see it. And then I've hand stitched everything. I'm not the best hand stitcher, but I tell you what, the meditation in doing that, and I haven't made a quilt for my daughter, and she's a mum, and has 2 boys, and she's really busy, under a lot of pressure at the moment, and to make something for her, I just sat and thought about when she was a little girl, and all the lovely memories that I have of her, So in every stitch, that's one of my kisses. Some love for my daughter. And I have been showing some of these pictures because I was so chuffed that it's like nearly been finished. I didn't realise that she'd seen it and she'd actually asked if it was for her. She does know that I'm making her a quilt, but these are her favourite colours. So again, I am so pleased to say this has been over a year in the making, or nearly. Perhaps I started it last September, and then I thought it took ages to quilt. Once you start quilting, it's like, you know, when you try to paint a wall and you're going to put a different colour on, you're like, oh, what's it going to be like? Yeah. So, but blank canvas, just go for it. What's the worst you can do? I'm picking. So that's that. So yes, I am really pleased with that. So I do have a commission for another quilt, and I literally have about 3 weeks to make this. But again, I've had this material probably, well, it was last year, definitely last year that I bought it. My oldest daughter knows what I'm like, and it's for my youngest grandson Benjamin. He hasn't got a quilt yet, and it's for his first birthday. So his nursery is like a woodland theme. So this is the fabric that my daughter's chosen, and it's just beautiful. And again, I've had that on my chair and I've been looking at it and I've been humming and I've been harring. What do I do? How do I go about this? It's not so much the construction of a quilt, you can do that. It's the quilting. I don't want to make a mistake, and I would like it to be, well, nothing's going to be perfect, is it? But I would like it to be as the best that it could be. So what I've decided to do is, I think it's just, there's enough going on here that it's quite busy, and I can't really cut it up or do or anything like that. So this is it. This is what it's going to be. So I think I'm literally just going to quilt like 2 lines down here and 2 lines across here. And there's sometimes simplicity, if it's orchestrated correctly, can look just as good as a fancy, fancy quilting patterns. So this is the fabric that I've got to go on the back. So I'm pleased, really pleased with that. So yes, we bought his cot for him, but he hasn't got that. He's got his, he hasn't got a blanket. So I've made him a blanket to go in there. So he's got that. So that's my next quilting project. But I'll look forward to that. It'd be nice. I think when you have made like some big projects and they have been not so much difficult, but they've just taken quite a long time for whatever reason, it's nice to have something that's quite simple. So I will look forward to cutting that out at the weekend and getting that started. So that's my quilting. My sewing, I have actually been made a couple of like little sewing projects. One of them I spoke to you about on my first episode, and that's when I'd watched Lindsay at Stitch Create Love, and she'd made some, and it was just the way that she went about it. It really encouraged me sort of to have a look. So I have had a look, and I have had a go at making these lovely face masks. And I do say that sort of, not lovely in the fact that I've made them, but the fact that we have to have something like this. So I've made this one. So this is for my mum. So it has got 3 layers. It's got a, never work out which way to put them up. So if you ever see me out, I'll have it all over, back to front, whatever. It's got the nose piece here. So it's got the 3 layers. I'm finally going to be able to go and see her tomorrow. It's just been horrendous. Like, we think we're going, then we're not going, then they're in lockdown, then we're not sure, then we're confused. So that's what I think I am. I think we're just confused now. But from yesterday, we're allowed to go and visit her. So we'll go from today, Wednesday. So we can go tomorrow. So that's what we're going to do. So I've made her this. This will be a surprise. She's never had a gift like this from me. It's also 2 colours, so they know ins and outs. I think also I'd quite like to make a little pouch or something just to put it in. so that it's not in your handbag. Not that she's going out, but I've made a couple like for the girls and the boys, so that might be a good idea to have something like that. And then the last stepdad made this one. He's got the trains, so he's got that. So yeah, so I've made quite a few. I think if I can get up to 3 for everybody, one on the face, one in the wash, and one clean, then I think we'll be okay. Also made this, which is a little crochet roll. So just having a practice. So that's all my crochet needles. I'd ordered like a cheaper set when I was first starting, so they're in there. So I'm quite pleased with that. Just very simple, but it's just handy to have them in one place really. But again, this is something I would have thought, oh yeah, I really want to do it. I'll get around to it because there'll be a bunch of other things. But I'm starting to, if I like something, just have a go, just make it, because if you don't do it, you know, we're going to get around to it. So that's my sewing, and I don't think I've got any plans for anything else. Oh, tell a lie. I made a bag. And I made this one. I absolutely love autumn. It's my favourite season, as my husband's. That's when we got married, in autumn. So I love harvest. I think I was at one of the knit and stitch shows. I picked this piece of fabric up. I'd made a banner for Church of Girls Brigade, and we'd used that, and then I had some odd bits left. This is what I had left over. So I got some brick fabric, and it's just beautiful. I just absolutely love it. I told you that I'm trying to use everything. So that's like the squash on there, and a pumpkin, and then I've lined it with some gingham. Just that was what was in my sort of stash pile that needs to be used up. When my daughter got married, we had a pre-wedding party, and I bought loads of like gingham like this, and a softer like a cotton gingham. This was like ordered by mistake, but I used it as a table and thought, oh, I'll find use for it. So I've lined my bag with it, so that's a bit more of it used up, which is good.